Part 1. The girl they underestimated. They called me many things. A goddess, a serpent, a seductress, a queen who used her body as a weapon and her tongue as a blade. But before the world knew me as Cleopatra, the last Pharaoh of Egypt, I was just a girl. A frightened, clever, dangerous girl with coal-lined eyes and a mind sharper than any dagger in my father's palace. I was 18 years old when my father died and left me the throne of Egypt. 18. And already, my own brother wanted me dead. You see, in our family, blood meant nothing. Power meant everything. My younger brother Ptolemy, barely a boy, was forced to marry me. Yes, marry his own sister, as was the custom of our dynasty, and rule beside me. But his advisers whispered poison into his ears. They told him I was too ambitious, too independent, too a female. So they exiled me. They threw me out of my own palace, hunted me through the deserts of Egypt, and placed a bounty on my head. I slept in tents. I ate stale bread. I watched loyal servants die for me. And every single night, under those cold desert stars, I made myself one promise. I will return. And I will burn them all. But I needed an ally. Not just any ally. I needed the most powerful man alive. And in that year, 48 BC, there was only one name that made kings tremble and senators bow. Julius Caesar. Part 3. How I made Caesar mine. People think I conquered Caesar with my body. They are wrong. I conquered him with my mind. Yes, I was beautiful, but not in the way the poets pretend. My nose was too sharp. My chin too strong. I was not the soft, delicate flower the Romans imagined. No. My weapon was something far rarer. I spoke 9 languages. I could discuss philosophy with Greek scholars, mathematics with Egyptian priests, and military strategy with hardened generals. I knew the stars. I knew poison. I knew how to make a man feel like he was the only soul in the universe. And Caesar was a man starved for an equal. For weeks, we did not leave my chambers. We talked through the nights, about Alexander the Great, about the libraries of Alexandria, about the gods. I poured him wine with my own hands. I read him Homer in Greek. I laughed at his stories. I touched his arm at exactly the right moment. And then, one evening, as the Nile breeze drifted through silk curtains and oil lamps flickered against gold walls, I leaned close and whispered, Caesar, I could give you a son who would rule both Rome and Egypt, a son who would be a god. I felt his breath catch. By morning, his army was mine. By the end of the month, my brother Ptolemy was dead, drowned in the Nile while fleeing Caesar's legions, his golden armor dragging him to the bottom. I was queen of Egypt again. And 9 months later, I held our son in my arms. Caesarion. Little Caesar. The boy who could have changed the world. Part 4. Rome trembles. In 46 BC, Caesar brought me to Rome. Imagine it. A foreign queen, exotic, dark-eyed, draped in Egyptian linen and gold, paraded through the marble streets of the Republic. The Roman wives hated me. The senators whispered behind their togas. The crowds gawked. But Caesar built me a palace. He placed a golden statue of me inside the temple of Venus, the goddess of love herself. Do you understand what that meant? He had declared me a goddess. In Rome, the most arrogant city on earth. The Senate was furious. They called me a witch, a whore, a foreign tyrant who had bewitched their dictator. They began plotting in shadowy corners, sharpening their knives, hissing one word over and over. Caesar must die. I felt it. I warned him. I begged him to be careful. He laughed and kissed my forehead. My love, he said, I am Caesar. Who would dare? On the Ides of March 15th, 44 BC, they dared. 23 stab wounds. His own friend Brutus among the killers. He fell on the Senate floor in a pool of his own blood, whispering through blooded lips. I was in Rome that day, in his villa, holding his son. And I knew, in that instant, that I had to run, because the men who killed Caesar would come for me next. I fled Rome in the dead of night, my son in my arms, my heart in pieces. But I was not finished. Not even close. Part 5. Enter Mark Antony. The years that followed were a storm. Rome tore itself apart in civil war. Caesar's heir, the cold young Octavian, fought against Caesar's best friend, the wild, drunken, magnificent Mark Antony. And Antony. Oh, Antony. He was everything Caesar was not. Where Caesar was calculating, Antony was passionate. Where Caesar whispered, Antony roared. He was tall, broad-shouldered, sun-bronzed, with a laugh like thunder and an appetite for wine, war, and women that the gods themselves would envy. In 41 BC, he summoned me. He demanded I come to him in Tarsus, that I explain my loyalties. He expected me to come crawling, apologetic, frightened. He was about to learn what I had taught Caesar. I did not crawl. I arrived on a barge of pure gold. The sails were purple silk, drenched in perfume so heavy that the wind itself smelled of roses. The oars were silver, and they slapped the water in rhythm to the music of flutes and lyres. Boys dressed as cupids fanned me with peacock feathers. Girls dressed as sea nymphs danced around me. And there I lay, on a throne of gold, dressed as the goddess Isis herself, my skin glowing in the sunset light. The entire city of Tarsus entered to see me. They abandoned Antony's banquet to gather on the shore. Antony sat alone in his hall, his food cold, his throne empty. And he had to come to me. When he stepped onto my barge, I offered him wine, music, and a feast more lavish than anything Rome had ever seen. The torches alone, I had 800 of them, turned the night into day. By dawn, the most powerful general in Rome was on his knees before me. By the next winter, he was mine. Part 6. The Wild Nights. We were insane together. Antony and I. The Pharaoh and the General. Egypt and Rome. We formed a secret society called the Inimitable Livers, the people who lived as no others could. Every night was a festival. We disguised ourselves as commoners and ran laughing through the streets of Alexandria, knocking on doors, playing pranks, drinking with fishermen. We held banquets where the wine flowed for days. I once dissolved a pearl, the largest pearl in the world, worth a kingdom, in a cup of vinegar and drank it, just to win a bet. Antony stared at me, half in horror, half in love, and declared me the most extraordinary woman who ever lived. We had 3 children together. Twins, a boy and a girl, and another son after that. He named them after the sun and the moon. Alexander Helios. Cleopatra Selene. Children of the heavens. For 10 years, we ruled together. We dreamed of a new empire, an empire stretching from the Nile to the Euphrates, where east and west would meet, where I would be queen of kings and he would be the new Alexander. But across the sea, Octavian was watching. And Octavian was patient. Part 7. The End of Everything. In 31 BC, the storm finally broke. Octavian declared war, not on Antony, but on me. He told Rome that I had bewitched their hero, that I was a foreign sorceress trying to enslave the Republic. He turned my love into a weapon against me. We met him at sea, in the great battle of Actium. Our ships were larger. Our crews were stronger. But the gods were not with us that day. The wind turned. The lines broke. Smoke filled the sky. I gave the order to retreat, and Antony, my Antony, abandoned the battle to follow my sails. He left his men. He left his honor. He chose me. It was beautiful. It was tragic. It was the end. Octavian's legions marched into Egypt. One by one, our allies betrayed us. Our soldiers deserted. The palace emptied. Antony, broken and ashamed, fell on his sword when he heard a false rumor that I was dead. He died in my arms, bleeding onto the marble floor of my own mausoleum, whispering my name. And I would not be paraded through Rome in chains. I would not kneel before Octavian. I was Cleopatra, daughter of pharaohs, lover of Caesar, wife of Antony, mother of gods. I dressed in my royal robes. I placed my crown on my head. I sat upon my golden throne. And I let the asp, the sacred serpent of Egypt, sink its fangs into my arm. The poison was cold, then warm, then nothing. Epilogue. What they'll never understand. History was written by my enemies. The Romans called me a seductress, a witch, a whore. They reduced 3,000 years of Egyptian glory to one woman and her bedroom. They erased my intelligence, my languages, my reforms, my fleets, my temples, my dreams. But hear me now, across 2,000 years. I did not seduce Caesar and Antony with my body alone. I seduced them with my mind, with my courage, with my vision of a world where a woman could rule, could conquer, could stand beside emperors as their equal, not their possession. I lost the war, but I never lost myself. I am Cleopatra, the last Pharaoh of Egypt, and my wild nights will echo forever. The end.